What are young people telling you? What is the thing that most worries them? Are they talking about Ukraine? Do they care about Partygate? Or is it bills?
Well, people inside the Westminster bubble care a bit about Partygate. Mainly, we just like everyone to sort of shut up and get on with it, because we've had, especially over lockdown, the frustration of people taking away our experiences, having close family, friends and relatives die, not being able to go to their funerals, we haven't been able to have weddings, start relationships, etc. So we are kind of frustrated at a government who imposes this on us and then doesn't follow the rules themselves. But mainly the cost of living crisis takes precedent over anything. We are facing down the lowest rate of homes available to buy, and actually quite a few homes are not on the market as of December. Highest rate of rental, inflation has outpaced wage growth. And then if you look at the employment statistics, yes, lots of people are employed, but lots of people are registered self-employed. There are actually less people in regular full-time employment than at the start of the pandemic. So it's really worrying time for us. And I don't normally inject my emotions into any sort of political discourse or analysis, but as a young guy in my 20s, I'm seriously worried I'm never going to be able to afford my own home. And lots of people in the Westminster bubble seem to want to give more money to housing developers and high rises and say projects should go ahead by capacity, but not by actually whether or not people are going to have enough space to live in or be able to ever own it one day.
I mean, that's the problem. It's one thing we've talked for years about young people not being able to sort of afford a deposit. But if the rental rates are going up so much as well, you're never going to be able to afford a deposit.
Well, it's like the Help to Buy scheme. It's a good idea on paper, but then when you have this massive amount of quantitative easing from the Bank of England, where they're printing 100 billion or more to keep up with the furlough scheme, that's a ticking time bomb. It's a bubble waiting to burst. We're pending for another economic crash like 2008. We who haven't got our start in life, we haven't had anything to inherit, who are just sort of starting on the ladder precariously, changing jobs and got university debt, etc. We've been put in a really difficult position of where we're actually not really sure if we're ever going to get the start, because we've had our employment opportunities delayed by 2 years of lockdown. We emerge out into a world where the Bank of England is so sure that inflation was going to peak at 7%, but now it's looking to rise to about 8%. Energy bills are going to go up specifically by about £693 in April, and I think the Tories are going to be definitely punished at the ballot box. That I don't think Partygate's going to matter when people's bills hit the table and then the May elections come in. It's seriously concerning, because it feels like we're seeing ever mounting costs and not many opportunities opening up. And then the government's answer to this is, a loan for your energy bills. We're going to inject more money into affordable housing. If the government just stops taxing us to death in the first place, we might be able to actually have some savings.
You're also a generation, when you talk about young people in their 20s, you're also a generation who've had to pay through the nose, some would argue, for your university education. And not that it's been an especially brilliant university education in the last year and a half or so. And you've still got, so you're coming out of education with debt already on your shoulders, and then you're facing all these extras. It's pretty rough, isn't it?
Well, this is the argument we made after the national insurance rise, something that's going to be more money thrown into the bottomless pit of the mismanaged NHS. The graduates are facing, if you take their university loans repayments into account, especially considering they're looking to raise them at some point, we're facing a 43% tax rate for on a graduate salary. That's unmanageable. That's redistributive socialist levels of we can't even control our own money. And it's pretty disheartening. I'm not someone who's quite down in the dumps about this, but to see, especially after 2010, the encouragement of everyone must go to university, I think it was mainly to sort of fudge the unemployment statistics and make it look like everyone's in full-time education and they're not jobless. Not everyone should have gone to university, and a lot of the time, these flat fees are made to subsidise a lot of other degrees which spend a lot more. You can see with like master's programs, you can change the rates people are paying, but loads of people were going to universities to do a 3-year undergraduate degree for the same cost as another degree which might earn them an immediate job or a graduate scheme or something as they get out, and they're getting a lot of money for things that are basically indoctrination courses that are teaching you how to be a brilliant social activist, but not any job-seeking skills. They're teaching you what to think rather than how to think. And so they're leaving university with all these costs and then going into a middle management job and getting very, very upset because they can't make any money and they've been sold a pack of lies.
I mean, I guess if there is anything positive to look at, it is with the changes in the COVID rules. I mean, at least you can imagine young people, most young people, are not going to be overly bothered about still walking about with a mask on or anything else. They're just going to be glad to maybe get a bit more of their life back.
I mean, you'd be surprised. I think GB News maybe needs to start paying to put the screens on the pubs in Bath, etc. Because I went down there for Valentine's Day to keep my missus happy, and there's loads of people still walking around with masks outside. So some people have just been scared out of their wits, and this is young people as well. I remember seeing a young lad walk out of a shop with his girlfriend. They can't have been more than 19 or 20, and she just went to him, nudged him in the arm, and went, "Oh, go on, take your mask off." Well, I mean, if she's telling him to take the mask off, I wonder who the man in that relationship is. Let's put it that way. But lots of people are still scared out of their wits, and we've had, the Sage propaganda campaign telling people, well, if you go near Granny, you're going to kill her. Well, some people haven't still shaken that mentality. It's wonderful to still see young people going out and forming relationships and meeting people in the nightlife, and it's nice to see some of my friends that I haven't seen since I graduated a while back. So we've all gone off into far-flung areas of the country and lived our lives. But some people are still trapped in that mental prison, even if the restrictions go, and that has to be laid at the government's feet when they spent so much money on advertising to scare us.
Connor, I must say, I'm talking to you now and hearing this litany of woe is very much like talking to my sons. They feel exactly the same way. The one power you do have, I guess, is your vote. So how would you, and the young people you speak to, do they feel there is an alternative to vote for?
Well, this is the problem. You have the old saying of, if you're not a socialist when you're younger, you got no heart. If you're not conservative when you're older, you got no head. I suppose I'm heartless because I've never really been sort of in the socialist camp. However, Conservatives at the moment kind of are. And if Boris is going to be ousted, which it's looking, whether it's going to go with a whimper or a bang at this point, as he said with Partygate at the start, it's looking to be an inevitability slowly but surely. Well, Rishi Sunak's got us in this situation with his tax and spend monetary policy, and if he's next in line, we're all sort of despairing. And so I think it's going to look a little bit like my constituency, Bexley, a little while ago at a by-election. They elected Louis French, but by a much slimmer Conservative margin than in 2019 with James Brokenshire. And it's going to be that if people are sort of conservative-minded young people, most of them are just going to stay home with that apathy. We really need an alternative for sort of low tax, better economic growth, and a more freedom-based future. But currently, I don't really think any of the parties provide that. We'd love it if they would.